What is going on, my homies? Got a little dangler right there. So we are on a little kind of, it's like one of those small lakes in Florida, dude. Tannic water, you know, that stained kind of brown look, bunch of pads on the bank, bunch of emergent vegetation. There's also some deep water out here, and I think there's some brush. But we're gonna kind of tool around. I got my hands on some new baits. I got the new, this is the loaded swim bait from Bass Mafia, but they're making like a smaller version, and then they got all these new colors out. So I got a 7-inch one up there. I got the smaller one. I got a bull shad, trick shad, and of course, I got the old worm, little 5/16 tungsten Texas rig, you know, and the minnow dang. I got a whole bunch of baits. We're gonna tool around and try to investigate and get a feel. I've never really kind of fished this place on my own and just chased after it. There's been like a 14 caught out here. There's monsters, dude. So hit that like and subscribe button and we'll get after it. Let's just catch a bass. Let's catch a bass. Whoa. Dude, back on the swim bait. A little wind kicked up and that one kicked up. Up she comes. Yes. She's gonna go with the wind. She's gonna go this way. That's another 4 to 5 pounder. Quentin, you might be fishing today, boy. Oh, dude, she got bigger. Did no bite, just freaking inhaled it. Absolutely inhaled it. Bait slid up just right. I'm gonna call that 4, Quentin. She's darn close to 5 though, dude. That straight shank absolutely gets him, dude. And when that bait slides up, it's always the thing I worry about when I'm swim bait fishing, is like that bait bonking against them because they start jumping and then that weight rocks all over the place. But we'll call her 4. We're getting up there, Quentin. That one's pretty, a little skinny, but pretty. Let's get her back real quick. Go back down. Where your peeps at, bro? A little water on the camera, bro. Yep, I freaking triggered them, dude, by reeling it up because freaking one ate it. That's the big one. We got out the bigger bait, dude, and oh dear, oh dear. Did you see them all come up? That was nuts. Come here, come here. That is not as big as some of the ones that came up. She's awful skinny. But we got out the bigger, what I like to refer to as Big Blue. He closed the deal. It's one of the new colors that they got. It's like a 3 pounder. Oh, man, that freaking made my heart run. I caught like the brush pile, like the corner of it, and a little like brim or something ticked it. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna get hung in the pile. I don't wanna lose this bait because they're, you know, they're not cheap, dude. And so I freaking reeled it up real quick to try to pop her over the brush pile. And I was watching the active target and like 4 giants just dart out of nowhere and come up. And then I feel my whole rod load up, dude. We're gonna try that again, you know? And yeah, that's actually, let's talk for a second. I need to breathe and calm down. Playing with your retrieves with this thing, so whether it's a swim bait like the Bass Mafia, whether it's a jig head swim bait, you're more traditional, you gotta play with your retrieves because sometimes the slow roll, it's game over, it's awesome, right? Sometimes though, you gotta be closer to the bottom. Sometimes you want it grinding on the bottom or ticking it. Sometimes, dude, you'll get these followers and they won't close, right? So you got 2 options. Drop down to them, let it go down to the bottom, see if they follow and kind of maybe Texas rig, kind of like drag it kind of thing. Or you do these 4 or 5 quick reels, almost like you're kind of ripping a chatterbait or running like a hair jig. I like to call it hair jig in a bait, and you can do it with a swim bait, and it pops it up, and basically the fish are like, and they do one of 2 things. They're like, and they turn around and leave, or they freaking chase it and absolutely crush it, just like that one did. Holy dude. Yeah, I missed him. You got it that time. Dude, we got him fired up. So freaking fired. Oh, this is ridiculous. Bro, look how he has that swim bait. I mean, freaking crunched. That swim bait was all up in his goozle. Goozle, man, boozle. Oh, dude, gotta get back in there. They are seriously, like, absolutely fired off. What a beaut, dude. We're retied. equipment is viable. Let's see if I can get some more. This is ridiculous. Guys, check this out. So one of the reasons these fish are so active, you see that ball of bait? It's right above. So like you not only have a brush pile, you have a piece of structure, but you also have bait that's kind of activating those fish and causing them to rise. Got him. That was a big one. Dude, he came back and got it. Bro, oh bro. I don't think that's the first one that bit it, dude. That is not the first one that bit it. I had one dead. Stop it, bro. They like Big Blue. Quentin's all telling me they don't like Big Blue. They like Big Blue. I mean, that's just a 2.5, 3 pounder. That first one, she stopped it, like dead stopped. I can't get back in there. Gets me all riled up, dude, because this is, like the bites are so reactive when you do that. Like it's, and it's, and they smoke it. Freaking so cool. Golly, dude. That's called hair jigging. That's my word. That is so cool. Dude, he came out of like 2 feet of water in 20. I mean, absolutely annihilated it. Come here, big buddy. So cool. Those are the kind of crazy bites, dude, that I think I chased. God, he's freaking stuck. I gotta get pliers. These are like the late summer kind of like schooling bites that you absolutely chase, dude. When they're eating like that and they're willing to chase a bait, not because there's a brush pile, but because they're literally, as it goes into like September, October, November, they chase bait. That's what they live on, dude. Structure doesn't play nearly as much. It's all about bait. Gotta get her back though. Oh, that was ridiculous. Oh, go, go. You gonna do the head walk? There you go. Oh. I wanna put a new bait on because I've absolutely shredded this thing, but now I feel like Big Blue's a little bit lucky. So she ain't going nowhere, dude. Do me well.
Sadly, my homies, before we got to shoot the outro to this video, we got stormed off the lake with some vicious Florida thunderstorms. So I wanted to kind of recap the technique that we're using because it's something that's been playing more and more among my retrieves across a variety of baits. And I also want to give some love to Big Blue. This is one of the new colors of that Bass Mafia loaded swim bait. And dude, let me tell you, they shelled it, bro. This is the little tiny one, the little 5-inch. We threw the 6-inch and the 7-inch, and both in the shallow running. I like it to kind of like ride it up, and that's what we're going to talk about. But I don't actually know if it's called Big Blue, but that's what I'm calling it. Come on, Blue! What we did with this thing, I've noticed a lot more that fish need to be kind of triggered. And if you guys look at the retrieves and kind of look at the active target kind of recordings that we had, we're fishing kind of around structure with a bunch of bait. And when I'm fishing these lures that like you normally kind of back in the day just fish kind of on a slow roll, and that's not to say you're not going to fish them that way all the time, but when you have these fish in neutral moods and you cannot get them to eat the bait doing that slow as molasses like Grandpa retrieve, bumping it off the bottom, you know, maybe doing a one quick reel like that, there's kind of what I call a hair jig retrieve. I use it on forward facing when I'm doing my mid-strolling stuff with like a hover rig or like a jig and minnow presentation. We do it with a trap all the time. We do it with a hair jig. And that's where it comes from. Basically, I take this Bass Mafia, the loaded. I like it because it has that open hook that slides out, which allows me to kind of do this, but the bait still runs true. I've noticed with the hook, the internal hook with the magnet, I can burn this thing and it doesn't wash out. And that's a problem with, like, for instance, the mag draft and that. It'll wash out when you're burning it. So what I'll do is I'll cast this thing out. I'll see a group of fish, a ball of bait or something like that. The whole goal is to keep the bait high. I'm reeling, starting off with kind of a steady retrieve, right? Just like a chatterbait retrieve, something like that. Get the slack out of the line, get the bait running up. And then what I'll do, I'll go ahead and I'll put like 4 or 5 just fast reels, hair jigging it, right? Kind of rod tips slightly up, not way up, but slightly up. And what it's doing is it's jumping that bait up and just making it move absolutely erratically. And there's probably some hunting action mixed in there, but it's not just like washing out and flowing to the side or something like that. It's darting around, moving real quick, and then it pauses. And that pause is really the key, because those fish see that pause and they got a 50-50 shot. It's either I need to eat this right now or I'm going to miss my opportunity. And so they close the deal, and it sort of triggers those neutral fish. So it's definitely a retrieve I would try. I wouldn't make it the first retrieve that you try when you're picking one of these guys up, but definitely mix it in, especially if you're seeing fish on forward facing, or you're just getting the impression like you're on a spot where you usually catch fish. The fish aren't responding to that standard slow roll and your standard retrieves. Put some fast paced reels in it. Just not rod tip pops. And we've talked about this in other videos. I think they don't respond to those rod tip pops nearly as much or as well as they do those fast reel retrieves. And just put some English on it. For this setup, I was using a 7.5 Halo. It's a medium heavy KS2. And then I also run a 721. It's a Shimano, that SLX, and I pair it up with 17 pound or 20 pound fluorocarbon, just like Red Label standard kind of cheap, fluorocarbon. 7 inches 2.1, and the 6 inch comes in a little over an ounce. So they're hefty baits to toss. They don't sink super fast, but they're hefty baits to toss. So you need a rod that can kind of handle it, but not too stiff. And that's where I like that medium heavy. It has a fast tip. It's a little more on the heavy end of medium heavy, but it has enough tip to kind of absorb that when we're doing that fast power retrieve, and those fish come up and suck it up. But it's pretty ridiculous, dude. There's a bunch of new colors in the Bass Mafia too that if you guys want to check out. But I like the loaded, because I can really fish it a lot of different ways. Slow, fast, and then it holds true to that swimming action. Check this one out. This is one of my favorites too. Okay, enough. But I'll put links to everything down in the description box. Try that hair jig retrieve with a swim bait, or really any bait that you fish, chatterbait, swim bait, hair jig, whatever you want to fish. It really triggers these fish when they're in that neutral mood, especially with these kind of cold fronts and fall little spells that come on through. But hit that like and subscribe button for me. We will see you back out on the water, hanging out, catching some bass.